Many things that happen in our life are things that we look forward to and anticipate with some excitement. But there are things that happen that we dread. Almost everyone dreads. Now, there are a few exceptions. But when that appointment of death comes in our life or in the lives of our family or friends, it's an extremely tough time. In the last few days, I've held the funeral of a young lady that was 35 years of age and died quite suddenly. And then this morning held the funeral of a little baby that had been born dead. And yesterday heard the news that a friend and a member of the church here's father had been killed in an automobile accident. And all of those are very different. One was an elderly man, one a young lady in the prime of life, and then one a brand new baby. And in every case, it brings a unique kind of grief and pain. Sometimes when we're able to see death as the natural thing that comes from a long life, and then a person is able to leave the world having lived a full life upon this earth, we don't feel so much grief. It's something that we're expecting. And yet it still hurts desperately to lose the one that we love. Imagine the couple that have been married for 50 or 60 years, and even though they're older and it's the time maybe for death, it's still tragic for that one that sees their loved one go away in death. And so I want you to think today about the subject of death. It will come for you. It'll come for me. It is appointed unto man once to die, and after this the judgment. And so that's an appointment we're going to keep. But how do you get ready for that death in a way that keeps it from being a tragedy for you or for your family? One thing I need to realize is that even though death ends our physical life, it doesn't end our life. There are two things the Bible teaches along this line. One is that at death, our soul or spirit or the inner man does not die, but rather goes to be with the Lord. That, like Stephen, when he was being stoned to death, would say, Lord Jesus, receive my spirit. And Paul would say in 2 Corinthians 5 that he longed to be able to leave this body and to go and be with the Lord. And so we have that promise that our spirit, if we have lived in harmony with God's will go immediately into a time of reward or punishment, depending on how we've lived. And at the same time, the Bible teaches very clearly that our bodies are going to be raised from the dead. He said in John chapter 5, don't marvel at this. The hour is coming in which those that are in their graves will come forth. Those that have done good to the resurrection of life, and those who have done evil to the resurrection of condemnation. And so that body is going to be raised. As a matter of fact, in 1 Corinthians 15, when he describes that resurrection, he said this mortal will put on immortality, and this corruptible will put on incorruption, and death will be swallowed up in victory. And so we can cry out, O death, where is your sting? O grave, where is your victory? The strength of sin is the law. And so he talks about that transition, that body being raised no longer as a physical, corruptible body, but as an immortal body. And in 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, he said the Lord Jesus will come and we'll be raised to meet him in the air. But at the same time, he said, when he comes again, he'll bring the saints with him that have died before. He's talking about the inner man, the soul. And so they come with the Lord when he comes again, and the body is raised to go and meet that spirit, that they may be together and live with God, with Christ, with the redeemed of all the ages in glory in heaven forever and ever again. Does that take away all of the sadness and sorrow of death? Certainly not. Because in our humanity, we feel a void, a hole in our lives when that one or those that we dearly love leave this world. But it does give us hope, and it does help us not to see this as the fatal tragedy. If we've lived for God daily, then we'll walk with God in eternity forevermore.